we're here. We're here to talk some completed trades, some trades that have happened in our very own Discord, some trades that I've seen out in the world, out in the wild, looking at fantasy calc trades as well. Want to get some vibes and get some values sorted, most importantly. But first and foremost, how are we doing tonight, Michael Bauer? How's it going?
Bob Van Duzer. I'm good. Thank you for asking. Tired, but I'm here. I'm good. I'm ready to go. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to get into it. Zach, how are we doing over there?
Doing great. Can't complain. Look at this beautiful camera. Look how, you can see everything. You see the shine on the head on this camera. Thank you, boys, for the new camera. Appreciate it.
So a little high def. All of the patrons out there, all the supporters, all of you watching at home right now are helping us get better every single day and helping us make this product that much better for all of you. So if you want to help support this brand, all the details on how to do that are in the description box below. We're going to be taking a lot of questions today, going to be looking at a lot of trades today as well. If you want to guarantee a response to your trades, because there are going to be a lot of questions, we're expecting a lot of questions, hit up that super chat option, look into that super chat option. I'll be looking through comments as we go along. Drop your questions. No chance that a question will be answered if you don't ask it. So, and if you want that much more guaranteed advice, answers to questions, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. Get in that Discord server for a free 7-day trial on us. But we are going to get into this. We got one right off the rip coming in the comments from a YouTube member. If you want to get in on that, got super chat coming in from Waffle Hauser already. I will get to that as soon as I finish up this member one. So there's a one quarterback league, no tight end premium, start 9. Would we rather have Deebo Samuel and Pat Freiermuth or a projected mid-25 first and the current 2024 303 other wide receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Pittman, Nico Collins? Mike, what do you think about this one?
I think it's pretty fair. But I obviously this is without context. This is in a vacuum. I don't know what your team looks like. Give me the Deebo Samuel and Pat Freiermuth side. To be honest with you, I want the proven commodity in Deebo Samuel and a guy who I think is going to rebound at the tight end position this year in Pat Freiermuth.
Zach, yourself?
Well, I kind of agree here with Mike, just because, unless you're in a situation where you are rebuilding and you don't need the draft capital, I just take the proven commodities right now. I want to score some points. And, is this a trade I can't make 4 or 5 weeks into the season if things aren't going well? Can I acquire some of that draft capital midway through the season? I'll take the points now. Start 9. So, Deebo probably starts. Freiermuth, no idea what that offense looks like right now, but I'm with Mike. I'll take the points.
Yeah, I can see both sides. I see the appeal to that 2025 first, and maybe if you're in a rebuilding situation, like you said, Zach, I think you can probably make this trade later down the line and maybe even get more for it. Maybe instead of a 24 303, you're getting a 25 second instead. So I think right now I will take the Deebo Pat Freiermuth side, but if you are trying to retool, rebuild, I don't hate taking that 25 first and pocketing it. We got Sean, one of our producers, and behind the scenes workers, I guess you could say, whatever you want to call it, chiming in, Dynasty Elite with the fire emojis. Our producer in training and everything else in training, Cole, says hi. Shout out to Cole.
Howdy, Cole, buddy. For not leaving things on mute when we start a live stream.
Hey, now that was on me as well. So it is what it is. Getting back to this, I do want to post Waffle Hauser super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the brand as much as you do. If my trade isn't on here, I riot, or at the very least peacefully protest. Awkward, risky humor for the win. Sure enough, I don't know that it is. I'll be honest. If I had to bet money, I don't think it is. But hey, we could always maybe work it in there at some point. But gentlemen, do we want to get into our first trade here that we have to look at? I got a bunch. I got a handful. So I got enough to last us all night, but we're planning on being here for about an hour and a half. So
all right.
At top at most. So getting into the first one here, this will be a hot button issue. We got a 2-versus-1 situation though, thankfully. First trade is a 12-team Superflex Start 11 PPR 0.5 tight end premium Kyren Williams for Jordan Addison. Which side do you want to have in this case? If the value's fair, at least. If it's not fair, what are we doing to fix the trade? What do we need to add either side to make this deal fair and work in the wild? Zach, I'll kick it to you first because I want to get some Kyren love in here before we get to the slander part of the show. What do you got, Zach? What are you picking here?
I mean, I'm picking Kyren Williams, but this trade seems pretty fair, pretty square both ways, right? Start 11, so it's a pretty deep league. Some people might opt for the longer shelf life in Jordan Addison. I'll go for what I project to be the more points I would say in a vacuum in 2 years. So I'll take Kyren here. And you know me, Bob, I'm just not a Jordan Addison guy. Never have been, never will be. He's the new T. Higgins. He's the wide receiver 2 on his team. If TJ Hockenson is healthy, maybe the third option in that offense. And who knows how much volume is going to be in that passing offense with JJ McCarthy now.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, your thoughts on this one?
I went the Kyren Williams side. This is a guy who was running back 7 last year. Well, here's the thing. I've been saying sell Kyren Williams all off season, but I want better value than Jordan Addison. It's that easy. Do I like Jordan Addison more? I like the player as a prospect better. Yes, I do. But just because I like a player better doesn't mean I'm going to devalue a current player who has the path and the potential to be a top 10 running back again this year. I'm not going to give away a player that's productive just because I don't like them. So this is the Kyren Williams side for me personally. I think you're giving away a guy who, again, could be a top 10 running back. It's possible. There's guys in the top 10 here that could fall out, like Rashee White could not be running back 4 again. Raheem Mostert was running back 5. Joe Mixon, running back 6. These guys could all drop down, and I'm anticipating that, guys like Saquon Barkley comes back up. Maybe he's not a top 10, but the fact of the matter is you're definitely selling too low, straight up Kyren Williams for Jordan Addison.
What would you need on top of Addison to take this deal, Mike?
I'm going to start at like a second-round pick. The fact of the matter is, do I think Kyren Williams has a long shelf life? No. But right now, this is a guy who could potentially – he was a running back 1 many weeks for your fantasy team. So I'm not going to sell low. That's my starting offer, and we can negotiate from there, obviously.
Fair enough. Good deal. I appreciate that. Real quick, I'm going to pop out of
Bob,
here.
I do want to say I don't hate just to hate. All my hate is always justified.
I don't always agree with that. We got Preston coming in with a question. How do we submit our trades? You can drop them in the comments below. If you want to guarantee a response, I can't guarantee that we'll respond to every single trade. I'll throw some up as I'm watching the comments here and checking in, seeing what comes in. If you want to guarantee it, either check out the Discord, get in there for a free week. Plenty of trade advice in there. Lambo Leap chiming in. I answered this in the Discord already, but to get viewpoints from Zach and Michael. 12-team, start 10. My Jared Goff plus A.J. Brown plus a 25 second for their Jordan Love plus a 25 first. Which side are you taking here, boys? I kind of said it was probably fair, but I was kind of meh on the deal. Being a start 10, I don't hate the Jared Goff side and the A.J. Brown side because you're getting 2 solid starters now versus having, Love plus 25 first, what could be a great piece, but you're, flipping a 25 second to get to that. So it's not really a huge plus asset. You're going 3 for 2 here. Only one of those assets. You're only getting one asset in your starting lineup right now. What do you guys think? Who wants to take the first crack here at answering this one for Lambo Leap?
How old is Jared Goff? Jared Goff is
29 or 30.
29. So he probably has.
He just re-upped.
5 to 6 years in the NFL. You got him. You got a guy who could be a top 10 wide receiver. Give me the Goff side. As much as I love Jordan Love, no pun intended or pun intended, if that tickles your fancy.
Full pun intended.
I will give me the 2 solid high-end starters and a second-round pick.
Yeah. Zach?
Yeah, I agree. And listen, I think we all love Jordan Love, especially Bob, as a Packers fan. But the fact of the matter is, Jared Goff is so underappreciated by the fantasy community year in and year out. And I've done a few startups recently. We're all in a C2C startup, and I would say that I am seeing Jared Goff get some love in startup drafts lately. Like he's going 3rd, 4th round, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And you look at the point differential between Jordan Love and Jared Goff. 330 points for Jordan Love last year. Jared Goff 304 in a 6-point passing touchdown league. 26 points. It's not even the difference of 2 points per week to upgrade from Jared Goff to Jordan Love. I don't want to pay A.J. Brown to do that. So I'm going to say the same thing as Mike here. I'm sticking with the Goff and AJ Brown side. As much as I love Jordan Love, to me, it's not picks trading season either. Like, it's points season now. It's time to fill out my lineup. I'm competing even on rebuilding teams. I want to set my best lineup unless it's just a total tank job. So I'm going to go with the points here. And, if I need picks 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season because things have gone awry, I can make that trade during the season. But right now, I'm trying to set my best lineup. Start 10. I need depth. I need volume. I'm going with Goff and AJ Brown here.
Yeah, Lambo Leap. I do want to say one thing too. I don't know if that's your username on Sleeper, MFL, whatever you use. I always tell people don't use team specific nicknames for anywhere, because then you'll get deals like this where people like, oh, hey, this guy's a Packers fan, or in my case, this guy's an Eagles fan. I'm gonna try to see if I get a little more from him for his fandom. Just something that I've always kind of went with. But go Packers, except for in week 1 in Brazil. So sorry about
that. Brazil. That's a throwaway game anyway. We don't need to worry about that game. So either way, appreciate you, Lambo Leap, chiming in there as well. I think we can move along to the next one. I got a couple that I might come back to. But I want to get into this one too. 12-team Superflex Start 9 PPR format with no tight end premium. Not that it super matters in this one. We went with the reverse mortgage buy here on Jaxon Smith and Njigba for a 24 third, a 25 second, and 26 first. What side do you want here? Is this an overpay? Is it an underpay? Is it a good value? Is it fair? Zach, do you want to take the reins on this one first?
Eesh. As much as it's point scoring season, I can't pay that.
Yeah,
that's a ridiculous price. You look in the short term, you're really only paying a 3rd round pick, a 25 second next year, and then a first. That's way too much. Like, I can't do that. I can't do a 3-for-1, and it includes giving up a 1st round pick. No shot, no way.
Yeah, and not to mention that first is 2 or 3 drafts away. No, thank you. Give me the JSN side personally. This is just way too much to pay. But look, the cheap, it goes cheapest to most expensive as far as commodity wise. The 3rd now, the 2nd next year, the 1st in 2 years. Credit to whoever offered that trade up for trying to get a player they like. But if I'm selling a player that I like, which is JSN, and there's a 1st round pick involved, it needs to be a lot sooner than 2026. We've seen in 2 or 3 years leagues can fold. So you could have used JSN to hopefully get you some fantasy points in that time, instead of waiting on a 1st round pick that could never come to fruition.
Yeah, I think for me on this one, I loved buying JSN, by the way. I'm still in on the JSN bandwagon. I think I would just throw out the 3rd round pick, move everything up a year. If you want to buy in that way, I think a 1st and a 2nd is relatively fair, as if with the 1st being a year out. I think it's around a late 1st anyway. You get that 2nd round pick in now, the 1st later. Still don't love the cost to buy, but that's probably about where he's going. Granted, we've seen a lot of very cheap trades for Jaxon Smith and Njigba come through the Discord. People getting for like a pair of 2nd round picks and things of that sort. So, hey, if you're in on JSN still like we are, consider diving in on that. And Zach, consider checking the private chat quick if you haven't already. We do have a super chat coming in from Eric. Appreciate the heck out of you, Eric. This is a 12-team Start 10 Superflex PPR 0.5 tight end premium. Also, thank you so much for adding in all of the formatting stuff. That's a huge win for us. Just kind of makes it that much easier for us to dive into this without having to, ask follow-ups or anything like that, or, approach with uncertainty. So the deal being, get Rashee Rice and Jahmyr Gibbs for Nico, Javonte Williams, and Cooper Kupp. Leaves you with Michael Pittman Jr., Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Gabe Davis, Ladd McConkey with some depth and upside. What are we thinking with this one, boys? Would we rather have Rashee Rice and Gibbs, or Nico Collins, Javonte Williams, and Cooper Kupp? This is tough. Do you want that elite, running back option in Gibbs and some upside too with Rashee? I think being at a bit of a value at this point. I don't know, Zach, you're not a huge fan, but with what you're giving up here, I don't hate this personally. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I don't hate it either. I feel like as of right now, going from Rashee Rice, going from Nico Collins, to Rashee Rice is a bit of a downgrade. But going from Jahmyr Gibbs, or going from Javonte Williams to Zamir Gibbs is definitely an upgrade. Hate losing Kupp here, but I think this is unfortunately right now what you have to pay to get players like Rashee Rice and Zamir Gibbs. Also, the last incident with Rashee Rice, the whole nightclub thing that's been expunged, so that's not a problem. I know there's probably going to be some sort of suspension or something coming for Rashee Rice in that incident. So when you trade for him, you do need to obviously plan for that accordingly. But your wide receiver depth looks good otherwise. That being said, yeah, I don't hate the trade if that's what you want to do to get Rashee Rice and Zamir Gibbs. That's what it's going to cost. Although I do think Kupp kind of has a resurgent year this year. Maybe not like what he once was, but better than he did last year.
Wouldn't hurt or be pretty easy to do. Zach, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, hopefully I sound a little bit better.
Yep.
I actually like the volume here. I like the three. I like the three players, Nico, Javonte, Kupp. I think the fantasy community has swayed a little bit too far in the anti-Javonte camp. I get it. Like, he's the only running back there that Sean Payton didn't bring in. It's just a bunch of dudes. It's like Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime and who else? Like Samaje
Blake Watson.
Oh, okay. Like, who you didn't even want to put in the rookie guide. Like,
hey, no, I'm not saying like he's important. I'm just saying he's there. He exists. That's all.
Okay. Like, none of these guys, like, I don't know. I think it's just a little bit too much overreaction. You know, it's like, oh, the Denver Broncos have like 14 other running backs. Javonte Williams, sell. Like, who? It's not that important to me. Like, all these other just dudes that are unrestricted free agents that they brought in, or undrafted free agents. I'm not this sell Javonte guy. Do I want to get off Javonte? If I could, sure. But I'm not like, oh no, I need to get off Javonte. It's gonna fall. Like, okay, there's time. People are gonna want running backs. Don't sweat it. So I prefer the volume here. I'm a big Nico Collins fan. I tend to agree with Mike on the Cooper Kupp. Would I really like to stop agreeing with Mike so much? If we could do some disagreements, Mike, that'd be great. But I just don't want any part of Rashee Rice. Whether or not the thing was expunged from his record, I got to move over here so you can see the air quotes. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And like, this guy has now been involved in multiple things in the offseason. He's 22 years old, and they brought in 2 other pass catchers. So I don't know. And Bob's known this because I sold Rashee Rice after week 1 of the regular season last week in our Rewinders League. Just not a fan. You know, I think he was the benefactor of being a solid wide receiver in a really bad wide receiver room. And I think Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy to me are better than Rashee Rice. So I don't want any part of this. Now look, Zamir Gibbs is sexy, but I'm going to take the volume here. I'll take the 3 players over the 2 in the start 10.
I don't think Zamir Gibbs is that sexy. He doesn't. I'm not very attracted to him.
Okay, Mike.
This is where I agree with you again. I agree with you again.
I'm hopping off. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's a start 10 again points me in that direction of, because realistically speaking, you know, they're expecting Rashee Rice to miss up to half the season. We saw that blurb come out a couple weeks back. Whether that sticks, who knows, with appeals and things of that sort, who knows? You could be rolling into with just one asset out of this whole bunch at this point. Now, that said, I think whether it's justified or not, I almost feel like I'd rather have, I want the 3, but I think I want more on that side. Some sort of pick upgrade in there. Maybe send me a 2 for I'll throw a 3, something like that. But either which way, I think that's where I'd lean ever so slightly, unless I could pull another piece to that the Rashee Rice and Gibbs side, unless I can pull a draft pick out of that. You know, if I get a second with that side or something along those lines, I'd consider it for sure. But with that said, let's move right along, storm through here. My probably least favorite trade of the entire show. This gets an F from me. 12-team, 1 quarterback, start 8, 1 PPR, no tight end premium. Sending Zack Moss for a 25 first. This was not a Discord trade, so all you Discordians out there watching along are safe for now. Moving Zack Moss for 25 first, I just can't get behind it. A guy who has shown ultimately very little over the course of his career, while he's been fine as a, you know, backup handcuff, things of that sort. There's no guarantee that he's going to commandeer the entire backfield. There's no guarantee he's going to get a long-term deal out of this. There's no guarantee in any of this. There's no guarantee that Zack Moss is really even that good. for a 25 first and a 12 team, even if that pick is 112, this is still not a square deal. This needs to be a 25 second at most, and ideally you're getting like Zack Moss and a 26 third back. Mike, your thoughts here? I see Zach shaking his head, so I know where he's at, but Mike, where you at on this one?
Yeah, I mean, if I have Zack Moss and somebody offers me a 25 first, I'll probably take it though, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I would absolutely take it. Of course I would, Mike, but
this is what you're playing right now. And, like Nate has alluded to many times on this podcast, Zack Moss was brought in to complement Chase Brown. But I feel like with him being the free agent signing, people think he's going to be the lead back. So, I mean, if you're getting the 25 first, good on you. If you're spending the 25 first, you said this is not a Discord trade?
Correct.
Patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind, week free. Get in the Discord. Come chat with us.
Zach, any additional thoughts here before we move along?
Yeah, I think, it's not a super flex trade, so you can't even justify that. Let me just start there. But, running backs are worth more in one quarterback leagues.
Sure.
But this is what I talked about this a few weeks ago, where there's this like the word for me is hopium, where the community just like invest hope into a player. And one of those players this offseason is Zack Moss, because there are situations where I have Chase Brown, and we talked about my newest strategy, Bob, and trying to monopolize backfields. So I go after Zack Moss, and the asking price is insane. And it doesn't make any sense for a guy who's been mid his entire career, except for 4 games when Jonathan Taylor was out. Make no mention of the offense that he was in. Make no mention that it was Shane Steichen who also made Miles Sanders relevant. But no, all credit to Zack Moss, who's now worth a first-round pick. Fantasy community needs to chill on Zack Moss. This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Zach. Real quick, I want to say, actually, Nate wants to say hello from Mexico, our fellow co-host in the trenches, taking a week off to do Mexico things and do Nate vacation things. It was not approved.
Number 1 of the year.
It was not approved by us by any stretch of the imagination, but he's out doing his thing, and we love him for it. Is Audric Estime the next Mark Ingram for Sean Payton? Nate says.
Well, and you know what? I do want to say.
We need to stop doing that.
I do want to say we need to stop doing the next thing.
I was just saying that, yeah.
Yeah, because, remember when Bill Belichick drafted those 2 tight ends that weren't very good, Dalton Keene and whoever else it was. Oh, this is going to be the next Gronk and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just stop. That was a one-time thing. Also, to respond to Michael Seymour, no, I would not do that. But we do have a super chat here.
Yep. Just to put that up so people know what we're talking about. Super chat coming in from Drew. Appreciate the heck out of you. #bars. 10-team keeper league, half-point PPR. I can only keep 10. I'm assuming we want to get a list of 10 out of this grouping. Brock Purdy, Justin Jefferson. I'm assuming not JJ McCarthy, but too many abbreviation names-wise here. But Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Deshaun Watson, assuming, or Christian Watson. It's tough, man. It's rough out here. Josh Jacobs, James Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Jerome Ford, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, Dalton Kincaid, and Zack Moss. I think on this one, I'm happy cutting Zack Moss, who we just talked about.
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, Jerome Ford. You can cut those guys. Christian Watson.
It's Christian Watson, by the way.
Or Deshaun Watson, perfect. I would definitely cut. I'd probably cut both, to be fair. But either way, those are some names I would cut. Any other names we just outright look to cut before we even try to put a number on this with how many we have on our list?
Well, we have to cut 4.
No, 4, yeah. There's 14 players, so you got to cut 4.
Moss, Ford,
good math.
Dobbins, right?
Appreciate it. Moss, Dobbins, Christian Watson. So there's 3.
And you said Jerome Ford as well.
And Jerome Ford. So there's 4.
Those are the ones I would go with. Yeah,
I'm not cutting Christian Watson here.
Of course you're not.
Who do you want to cut instead? You just want to disagree with
I'll
me.
cut James Conner instead.
Where's James Conner? Oh, I thought that was James Cook. For whatever it's worth.
Oh, if it's James Cook, then I'll keep James Cook. If that's James Conner, I'm cutting James Conner and keeping Christian
Watson. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Interesting enough. So yeah, there's your list of cuts. It is James Cook. So you want to cut
see you later, Watson.
I'm glad we were able to make that discernment.
Oh wait, Drake London's on there. Never mind, I changed my tune. Cut
Oh,
it.
stop it.
I had to get my
Stop
Drake
it.
London
Stop
slander
it.
in.
Stop it. There you go, Drew. Appreciate the heck out of you. Thank you, sir. And with that said, we will cruise right along here. We did the Zack Moss one. We have another 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8 PPR, no tight end premium. Not that, one quarterback really plays a role too much here, but Zach, you mentioned earlier, running back's a little more valued in a 1 quarterback league. So T. Higgins for Devon Chan. What are we doing here, boys? This is kind of an interesting one, I think. Depends kind of maybe what side of the road you are if you're trying to compete, whatever the case is. Mike, I'll kick this one to you first.
So I was looking at Joe Maiden's comment. Christian Watson blew his hamstring leaving that guy's roster. That's a good one.
That is a good one, Joe. That's rough.
This is really tough for me. You're talking a guy in T. Higgins who, he's on that deal, the 1-year deal, whatever they call it. Why can I not think of what it's called?
Franchise tag?
Franchise tag. That's what I meant. And then you have Devon Chan, a little undersized, but in a really good spot in Miami. They did re-sign Raheem Mostert, but he's a guy who's also been banged up. I think it's kind of fair, to be honest with you. Right now, I'm going to lean the Achane side. I am an Achane believer, a stan, if you will. And on a points per game basis, which I am trying desperately to find, but I'm getting the little spinny thing, so it's not letting me do it. He was pretty good last year. Oh, there it is. 17.3 fantasy points per game last year. Yeah, so we're talking almost 20 points a game in PPR formats.
You have that conversation with Achane, though, of that whole when he's healthy, because that was,
T. Higgins, another guy, was pretty banged up last year as well.
Fair enough. So, I'll agree with that.
It's one of those things where, unless it's a guy like Christian Watson, who's just always hurt, I try to not go too hard on guys for injuries anymore because I get it happens. I mean, I sneezed and I think I might have broke a rib once. So, it's just one of those things. But I just really think there's some good upside for Achane. Hopefully, Zach agrees with me because he's been doing that a lot tonight.
Zach, where are you at on this one?
This would really depend on the starting format. Like if I needed to start 3 wide receivers, I think I prefer T. Higgins. Sure. Where I would be unsure if it's start 2 running backs, start 2 wide receivers, and then a couple flex spots. It's for me, I have a tough time getting behind Devon Achane, and I'm a Dolphins fan. I was just so in love with what I saw last year, but undersized. They brought back Mostert and re-signed him. They drafted another running back that they did spend a future third round pick on him. It was day 3 draft capital that they used to draft him. But, I think I just go with the better player here. And to me, that's T. Higgins. There's a lot of question marks around Devon Achane. And like if Devon Achane played for the Patriots, is he Devon Achane? I don't think so.
He doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to legally change his name just because he plays for the New England Patriots.
Well, he did legally change his name recently. So, but my point is, like, I'm taking the better player there. I'm going to go T. Higgins.
I think I see both sides here. I really do. But I think when you're looking at a start 8 lineup, you need as many points as you can pack into that thing as possible. And while Achane comes with that inherent risk of injury, whatever the case is, being banged up, Zach leaving the chat, whatever it is, I think Achane gives you the best possibility for putting points into your roster. And I think for me, is what tips the scale that little bit. So I'll take Devon Achane here. Barely. I'm also a known T. Higgins hater. So that might be on me for that one. But
Bob, I know now's not the best time because Zach just popped off, but he popped right back on. I will be right back. And yes, Waffle Hauser, to answer your question, give me a wide receiver 20 or better finish before I believe in Drake London again. Okay, the guy's been like wide receiver 30-something every year in his career. Although I think I looked it up.
Been 2 years.
It's been 3 years. He was drafted in 2021. So I believe he was drafted in 2020. I will find that out. My little girl needs me real quick. She's
been 2 years.
I'll be right back, everybody. I thought it was 3. I'll verify when I come back. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely only 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's definitely only been 2 years, but either which way. Let's take some questions here while we're waiting to get into the next little bit here. I'll pull some questions out of here and see if I can find some that I like. I know there's one I wanted to go back to. Devin's, where are you? Forgot to post in the Discord. Shout out Devin for being one of our very loyal supporters, as are all of you. Took the ultimate gamble, traded Chris Godwin and Kyle Pitts for TJ Hawkinson / Rashee Rice, I'm assuming, and the 208, whatever face that is. I have Laporta is stacked at wide receivers, so the gamble felt safer. Zach, what side do you like? Your Chris Godwin plus Kyle Pitts, or TJ Hawkinson plus Rashee Rice in the 208? Now, this one's interesting because I know you like TJ Hawkinson and I like TJ Hawkinson. So for me, I think I'd take the TJ Hawkinson side by a pretty good margin at this point, especially with having Laporta already stacked that wide out. You're getting younger. You're getting to kind of re-roll. You have that 208 that you could always take and pair with Rashee Rice to turn into a better wide receiver that you like more, Zach. Where are you at on this one?
Yeah, I think I got to go with the 3 here, right? And the 208 really does that for me. I love a lot of the players you can get in that 208 range. As a matter of fact, it's been a while since I've done a rookie draft at this point. But, that's like the Marshawn Lloyd. If he's there on the board, I'm probably taking Jermaine Burton at that point. I'm a little bit high. Yeah, I'm a little bit higher than a lot of people on Jermaine Burton with his landing spot and his situation. I think that 208 really does sway it for me in the favor of the Hawkinson and Rice side.
All right, Mike. This is a Discordian here. Devin chiming in.
Yeah.
Forgot to post it in the Discord. Took the ultimate gamble. Traded Chris Godwin and Kyle Pitts for TJ Hawkinson, Rashee Rice, and the 208 has Sam Laporta locked down and a bunch of wide receivers. So what side do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, if I was planning on competing this year 100%, then give me the Godwin and Pitts side, because TJ Hawkinson may not start the season. Rashee Rice, as
You
Bob
have Laporta, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. Hey, let's not forget, you can flex tight ends, everybody. And with all the injuries in the NFL, sometimes you have to do that. Rashee Rice might miss half the season, but the 208, yeah, I think it's pretty fair. I like it. And just put in the comments in what stacked at wide receiver means to you. I'd like to see who else is on that roster as well. So, and hey, sometimes gambles pay off, man. Except for me at a slot machine. That never pays off.
Fair enough. Devin adding in, I said the 208 was the price for the felon. So,
beautiful. I love it.
Some of you guys are out of control here in the comments today, but we're going to move right along. We're going to talk another trade. 12-team Superflex start Niner PPR, no tight end premium, moving Bryce Young and the 24-206 for Jared Goff and a 25 second. How do we feel about this one? Pretty lateral move with that second rounder a little bit. You get one a little sooner, obviously. Maybe you 25 re-rolls into a sooner one, but also could re-roll into a later second round pick. What side do we like here, Zach? Kicking it to you first.
I'm taking Jared Goff side. This one's not particularly close to me, and I'm not off the Bryce Young train. I think he's a pretty good value right now where you can get him or what you could pay to get him. But Jared Goff is guaranteed 300 points in fantasy as long as he's healthy. He's in a great offense. He's 29 years old. That's not old for quarterbacks. He's locked in there. Amon is locked in there. Whoever their left tackle is locked in there. Jameer Gibbs is locked in there. Sam Laporta is there's nothing changing about that offense in any time in the near future. So I'll take those guaranteed points over the risk. Like you'd have to pay me more to take on Bryce Young because he's a risk at this point. I'll take the guaranteed points, the safer points versus the riskier points where I'm not really getting much more in return other than the 206. I'm just getting an advance on my second round pick.
Do you think if it was Jared Goff in a 25 third, you'd have more hesitation, or would that still not be enough?
No hesitation whatsoever. I want we are in point scoring season, everyone. Get used to it. We got to stop falling in love with draft picks. We need points. Jared Goff, top 10 quarterback 2 years in a row. That offense is better. It's there's continuity all around it. Offensive coordinator still there. Left tackle, wide receiver, tight end. All of it is still there. No reason other than health that he does not repeat as a top 10 quarterback in fantasy.
I will say with Jared Goff real quick before I get to Mike, the offensive coordinator did go on the coaching carousel tour of openings this offseason, decided not to take a position, but that could be something coming down the deck that could possibly be a thing. I'm not going to try to speculate it because he could just do the same thing next year where he just keeps not taking that role, but it's something that could happen, but I'm not going to say it will. I'm not going to rule it in or out. Just wanted to throw it out there that there might not be 100% continuity otherwise, because this nothing's changing here anytime soon. They have a great O-line, great coaching staff seems to be locked in there as well. So, I mean, everything seems to be trending that way. Mike, what if it was, because I think you're probably on the same boat on this one already.
Smash accept.
What if it was Bryce Young and a 25 first for Jared Goff in the 25 second?
I mean, I think I still want the Jared Goff side. This guy was quarterback 7 last year. By the way, ahead of Patrick Mahomes. He had more touchdowns, less interceptions, and more rushing touchdowns last year. And his family is not a menace to the NFL like Patrick Mahomes is. But let's be real here. For whatever reason, the Rams hated Jared Goff after a while. I get it. You know, sometimes people just need a new start, a fresh start. There's nothing wrong with that. I was very unhappy in my last job. I got a fresh start. I love my new job. So that's all I needed as well. But Jared Goff, he's a points machine. And their offensive coordinator, Bob, whose name eludes me, I can't remember it at this point in time. Yeah, he did the whole tour. He did the circuit. The good thing is you could kind of compare Jared Goff to a Kirk Cousins. He's veteran enough and advanced enough in his career where coordinator changes won't affect him as much as younger players like Bryce Young, like CJ Stroud. These guys have seen a lot of defenses. They've been around. They get to a point in their career where they're almost like a coach on the field themselves. He's got a great offensive around him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. Be better if Josh Reynolds is still there. He's not. He's in Denver now. Give me the Goff side, man. I love Jared Goff. You could buy him so much cheaper than guys that finished after him last year. Guys like Mahomes, Tua, Baker Mayfield. Well, not Baker. You could get him cheaper, but CJ Stroud, guys like that. They're all the hot names. Pay less for more production. That's the way I see it.
Speaking of Kirk Cousins, we got a super chat coming in from Unlimited Vita. Appreciate the heck out of you. 25 late first projected for Kirk Cousins in Superflex fair value. Would you rather suggest go buying Jared Goff for maybe less or maybe some other thing? Zach, you bounced out. I don't know if you lost service or whatever the case is, but
yeah. So
either way,
what I try to do when people ask me trade questions, like I want this player, and I like to ask why. Why do you want that player? If it's just I like them, okay. If you like a player and they're good, go get your guy. I have no problem with that. But when you like them because, they're a name or whatever, can I get you somebody that's around the same player for that same price, but maybe with better production? So, first for Cousins, a late first, can you do better than Kirk Cousins? We don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to come back fully healthy? Is the Michael Penix thing going to be an issue? I don't know. Can you get Brock Purdy for that late first instead? I think he's pretty safe there. Might need a little bit more on top of it. Baker Mayfield, you could probably get for an early second. Probably will give you the same amount of points this year as Kirk Cousins. So there's just, those are some things that I look at. That being said, if your mind and your heart is set on Kirk Cousins, I would try for like an early second, like the 202 to 24. Like, man, he's coming off an Achilles. He's in his 30s. It's best I could do. And if that doesn't work, Noah Bearden saying, no, you can't do better than Kirk Cousins. He's a national treasure. He is kind of a national treasure. So, but I don't actually hate it. And Noah did ask this question. If I donate money, does it go to YouTube or does it go to funding Mike's gambling addiction? No, it goes up my nose. It's allergy season. I'm buying Flonase out the wazoo. That's what I'm doing right
you need to get that checked, man, because there's no way your allergies are that bad.
Listen,
they're always that bad.
I got out of work today and my car was just coated in pollen. It was like the color of my shirt. It was terrible. But
Fair
the
enough.
the Flonase works. Use Flonase, everybody. Flonase, sponsor us.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But speaking of ways you can support this brand, if you like your roster review, check out the details on how to do it in the pinned comment below or the YouTube description box of this video. There will be a pinned comment at some point. If you'd like us to take an in-depth look at your roster, peel back all the layers, talk format, suggest some trades, ways to build your roster. We take an in-depth look. Both Mike and myself, Zach, pitches in on those as well when he is able. So that's just one way to support the brand. Check out payhip.com/Dynasty Get yourself a roster review today if you feel so inclined.
Can
Mike?
you get Dak Prescott for that late first?
No.
You don't think so?
No chance.
Okay. I just feel like
if you can, that'd be awesome. But
yeah, I think I would go the Dak Prescott route over Kirk Cousins, a little bit younger, healthy right now. Got CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. You'd have to pay up to get that,
Crazy.
which I'd love to do because I'm a fan of Dak Prescott. We got a Dak Prescott trade coming up here, but
Cool.
Either which way, talking some trades. I don't know what happened to Zach. I'm sure he got back to me. I'm sure he texted me.
Let's see. I
But
got nothing from him.
all right. With that said, let's talk about this next trade here. I'll try to get in touch with Zach. This is a 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR 0.75 tight end premium. David Montgomery for Ben Sinnott. What do you think about this one, Mike?
This one's tough. Because I like David Montgomery, but this is a running back that's aging and in a timeshare. That being said, it should be David Montgomery for Ben Sinnott plus. Like Ben Sinnott, and can we do like a late third on top of Ben Sinnott there? You know what I mean? It's just, I feel like if you trade David Montgomery straight up for Ben Sinnott, it's a bit of an overpay at this point in time. I
don't disagree. Zach, did you want to chime in on this one? David Montgomery for Ben Sinnott, 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR 0.75 tenant premium. Welcome back. I know the feeling of the internet being a pain in the tuchus during these lives. So, thoughts on this one, David Montgomery for Ben Sinnott? Any changes to be made?
I really like the Ben Sinnott side. That extra 0.25 on the tight end premium really makes a difference there. That's where I start to really value the premium. 0.5, it's okay. It kind of neutralizes the tight end position in terms of its value equivalent to any other position. But getting it that added bonus, I mean, every 2 catches is worth 3.5 points. So for me, that puts Ben Sinnott as a more valuable piece here. Although I am not I'm expecting like a Trey McBride-esque ascension for Ben Sinnott. I don't know how much he's going to be involved in the offense this year. Zach Ertz was really successful with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona, but we don't know how healthy Zach Ertz is, right? So I think maybe you'll start to see Ben Sinnott more in the second half of the season and then probably have ascension. So I would be trading for Ben Sinnott knowing that.
Sure. Yeah. I think in this format, Dave Montgomery is somebody I kind of want to get moving off of sooner rather than later, unless I have Jahmyr Gibbs and he's just kind of a natural handcuff that maybe I can flex on occasion. But I think over time, Dave Montgomery is going to get, not filtered entirely out of this offense, but I think he'll get used less and less. And a lot of the points that we're going to Montgomery will slowly shift to Gibbs, and that becomes less and less valuable over time. And once people catch up to that, that's going to sink his value pretty quick. So if I can move David Montgomery for a Ben Sinnott plus, like I think you can in a lot of scenarios, I'd be surprised if you with where we see Ben Sinnott going in a lot of drafts and sliding all the way to the third round in some leagues for some god awful reason. I know this is a tight end premium, so obviously he's a little bit more valued than non-tight end premium rookie drafts. So
Zach, you've been on the clock for 9 minutes, dude. Like, what's going on?
I think his internet is out again.
That's what's going.
But either way, moving along from this one here, I'm going to pull this off the screen. I'm going to get Zach out of here, do some management here. Zach is having some unfortunate internet issues. It do be like that sometimes. That is the way the cookie crumbles. No
matter how good our equipment is, sometimes we just can't control the internet.
Yeah.
As much as we try.
The worst parts. So we got some Sinnott comments. Got Sinnott in my startup. Now I need to grab him in my rookie draft in my other league to pair with Sam Laporta.
Ooh,
absolutely love that. Got Sinnott at the 206 this past Sunday. The absolute respect going on there. Love to see it. Like I said, we've seen him slide a lot to the third round. So don't grab him earlier than you have to, but grab him respectfully and draft responsibly.
That's within the range for me that I would start considering Ben Sinnott. Right now, his Dynasty Rewind ADP is 304. So, but still, if you're taking him at the 206, I don't hate it. Jatavian Sanders going ahead of him right now at the 210, and I'm all in on Jatavian Sanders. I love the landing spot, but I think that those ADPs should be flipped.
Yeah, there was a trade in the YouTube comments just before I hopped on that was like sending Jatavian Sanders for Ben Sinnott in a third round pick. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Whatever. I don't know. I can't tell you what's up with the people, but I can tell you what's up with this trade. Perhaps it's a 12-team Superflex start 10.5 PPR, no tight end premium. moving George Pickens for Saquon Barkley. If you could sell George Pickens for Saquon Barkley, I'll do this every day of the week, twice on Sunday type of thing.
Yep.
If I had Barkley, this would need a lot more on the Pickens side. I'm thinking like a second round pick and a higher projected second round pick. Because Saquon Barkley to me is about a mid first worth of value. I'm not getting that out of George Pickens. I'm getting like a late first worth, early second. So I think that's what I need on top of this trade. Mike, what do you think?
I agree. Give me the Saquon Barkley side, and you're 100% correct in your assessment of George Pickens' values. So you're taking a devalued wide receiver asset, we could say, because at one point in time,
Sure.
a lot of people were thinking very highly of him, but we don't know what Russell Wilson's going to look like. Hopefully he's the Seattle Russell Wilson, not the Denver one. Although, he didn't play terrible down the stretch. I just think they were done with him. I don't know what it was. Give me the player on what looks to be the better offense right now. And I do think for once we might see a bell cow in Philadelphia, because you don't pay Saquon Barkley $30-some million to put him in a timeshare with Kenneth Gainwell. If that happens, we riot on Broad Street, everybody. Meet me down there.
Fair enough. Well, we will roll right on into the next one. Just checking for super chats. There are none. So rolling on into the next one here, pulling trades again from our Discord, directly from our Discord. I think this was actually sent in as a, hey, I saw this in one of my leagues. That's another benefit. It's not just all the Discordian trades. It's a bunch of real life trades coming in there and just getting dropped and discussed at length in there as well. So this is 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR 0.5 tight end premium. Would you rather have Justin Herbert or Dak Prescott plus a 25-second and a 25-third on top? I'm pretty torn here, Mike. If I'm being totally honest, like I get, the youth here that's with Justin Herbert, but Dak Prescott is not a quarterback to be trifled with or devalued. Was a top quarterback down the stretch last year. You get some bonus assets on top. Dak Prescott isn't that old. I believe he's 30 going on 31. I see both sides here. I really do. If this is a team trying to get a little younger at quarterback, I think Herbert is still set to be pretty darn good down the stretch this year. I don't think he's going to be top 5 or anything like that, but I think he can still be a top 12 quarterback. And with his youth, I think he can still be in that same value round. But Dak's nothing to scoff at here, and you get some picks on top.
I think I'm leaning the Dak side here. It just, like you said, he's still just hovering right around 30 there. Again, not a death sentence for quarterbacks anymore. And I like Justin Herbert, but who's he throwing it to? Quentin Johnston is there.
McConkey.
They drafted Ladd McConkey, who I like Ladd McConkey, but he has had some back issues, and he is a rookie. We've seen rookies come out and not do what we wanted them to.
Palmer.
Jordan Palmer, who I like. Josh Palmer. Sorry. But, Dak does have CeeDee Lamb. It's a good connection there. Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, and Jake Ferguson. So, and Ezekiel Elliott is back too. So,
nothing to scoff at there.
I'm going to lean Dak here as much as I hate rostering Cowboys. But I like fantasy points, and I do think that there is a reality where Dak has a better chance of getting more fantasy points this year than Justin Herbert. Like both players, but I want the proven points.
Chiming in here on the deal, the second and third are very early for the Herbert-Dak trade. If that changes it,
give me the Dak side then.
Absolutely. I mean, good Lord. I mean, that really tips the scale for me. So if they're almost practically a first-round pick and a second-round pick, it's a different story. So 100%, I will take the picks, pocket the picks, and run. And I will run along to this next trade here. We have 12-team Superflex start 9 PPR 0.5 tight end premium. Moving Dalton Kincaid, or I guess you could say moving this other side. Either way, Dalton Kincaid was exchanged for Dallas Goedert, Eric All, and a 25-second round pick. I don't know about you, Mike, but I am throwing all of this at the wall to go get Dalton Kincaid. This point.
I mean, look, the fact of the matter is I like Dallas Goedert. He's not played a full season as a starter. I obviously like him as an Eagles fan. Eric All, we don't know. Mike Gesicki is the starting tight end there right now. And for all we know, he could come out of have a good year. Maybe they extend him. Okay. And the 25-second is a question mark. So give me Dalton Kincaid, who I think is going to be most likely the receiver 1 for the Buffalo Bills this year. And I want that. give me the Kincaid side.
Yeah. Zach, welcome back to the program. Would you like to chime in on this 12-team Superflex Start 9 PPR 0.5 tight end premium trade? Everyone give a warm welcome back to Zach. Dalton Kincaid for Dallas Goedert, Eric All, and a 25-second. Which side you taking here? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm slowly.
Wow, that was quick. Nothing? All right. Well, we
Can
tried.
I just chime in one thing here real quick?
It's also this. Yeah,
We tried with you, Zach.
we tried.
One
so
of those that,
hard.
listen, if you're thinking about getting into content creation, this stuff happens. I know Zach's computer's pretty good. His other equipment's good. Try to get a hard line for the internet. It's the best thing I could tell you. And even then, it's 2024. Yet we still can't get reliable internet.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's rough out here in the streets.
It is.
But we move right along with another trade here. 12-team Superflex Start 10 PPR tight end premium, 1 full point tight end premium. Javonte Williams for Brian Robinson and Greg Dulcich. Just makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Everything about this deal, just I don't love it. But
There is a reality where the answer is neither side.
sure.
You could always say no to a trade. Don't forget.
Yeah.
I do think that Austin Eckler does dip into Brian Robinson a little bit, probably more than Antonio Gibson did last year. But man, I don't know if I want to trade for Greg Dulcich unless it's like a 4th-round pick at this point in time, a 4th or a 5th, because he's been such a disappointment at Bob. I know you and I were quite large Greg Dulcich fans. I guess I'm going to lean the Javonte Williams side. I know there's other guys there, but I think right now he has the clearest path to be the running back one for his team. Brian Robinson might not at this point. So I lead Javonte Williams if you have to make the deal. If not, I might look elsewhere.
Yeah, I am going to keep Javonte Williams and just try to put together something else because this deal just is not one for me, not one I'm horribly interested in. I'd much rather just keep Javonte Williams. I don't, like you said, I don't want to buy in a Greg Dulcich and those hamstring issues as much as he could be that, tight end one there. It's wide open room, but, is it a real, room worth being a part of or worth getting into? That's another question up for debate. We do have a super chat coming in from Waffle here. Is this Zach's way of protesting my trade exclusion? Maybe it is. Who knows? I mean, maybe it
Waffle Hauser has given us 2 super chats at this point. So what's your trade, Waffle Hauser? Put it in the comments. We'll throw it up there for you. How's that sound? Does that sound like a deal to use, Bob? Forgetting your name over here.
It's okay. It depends on how large the trade is. But Joe Maiden here, who gets further in a 100-yard race before pulling a hammy? Christian Watson or Greg Dulcich?
Probably Christian Watson, honestly.
I only say that because of just the raw speed. He just
that's true.
Get further just by distance. But these are the real questions right here for sure. Real quick, if you haven't yet, be sure you're hitting that like button, dropping your questions in the comments. Let us help you get ready for the season. And like I said, all super chats are prioritized and very much appreciated. So moving on to the next one here, checking this comment actually that just came in from Masternator 7. That's a mature.
I love it. I think it's a great school.
I know you do. So 10 teams, Superflex Start 10, PPR 0.5 10 and premium. Would we rather have Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, Jameson Williams, or Drake London, David Njoku, and Javonte Williams? Is this too much to dump Jameson Williams? Rip Zach's internet. You're not kidding. Definitely rip to that, but it is what it is. Mike, which side do you prefer here?
I prefer the Waddle side. You're getting a guy who was a top 10 wide receiver a couple years ago, Kyle Pitts. I want that side, and then I would look to move Jameson Williams in a separate deal and get something else. I like Jalen Waddle a lot. I think Jalen Waddle is probably the best. Well, he's the best wide receiver in this trade. So yeah, give me that side. And Zach's over there using Netscape Navigator to try to get on to the live stream tonight. So not looking so good.
Yeah, I will 100% take that side as well. Just the 2 better players, in my opinion. As much as I like Drake London, and I've been maybe the most apologist of this channel for him, which is still pretty sad to say because I'm not that high on him, but I'm the highest on him here. So yeah, I'll take that side as well. Just I'm not interested in David Njoku, somebody I would like to move off of because I think Joe Flacco bumped his numbers up. So did Dorian Thompson-Robinson when he was starting. Inflated his numbers. They bring in Jerry Jeudy this year. As much as he is, questionable, question marks all around with him, that's going to play a role in the spread of targets down the stretch. We have another Super Chat coming in here from Lambo Leap. Appreciate the heck out of you. Trading is impossible right now. Everyone values their players like they are first-round startup picks. Everyone making deals are lucky.
Facts. Facts, Lambo Leap. It's rough out there, and I'm going to put Waffle Houser's trade in the comments so we can put it up there. Cool. Me saying it, I'd have to repeat it like a million times.
Okay, sounds good. I will do that while I get to this next one. Appreciate you, Lambo Leap. Noah, appreciate the heck out of you as well. 12-team Superflex, full point, tight end premium. Cousins, probably a late 25 first, or Jonathan Taylor. This is a tough one for me. I'm going to be totally honest. I mean, it's always hard for me to make deals with quarterbacks in them without having a quarterback back. So if Cousins is set to be if you were sending Cousins in this deal, if he's your quarterback 4, or you have a third that can replace him or whatever, you get it. I'm interested in making this deal for Jonathan Taylor. If I have Jonathan Taylor and I don't have another quarterback kicking around, I'm interested in that deal as well, or less interested, I should say. But Mike, 12-team Superflex, tight end premium, Cousins plus a probably late 25 first, or Jonathan Taylor. What are you doing with this one?
It's like a little bit of an overpay for Jonathan Taylor right now, just because Superflex. I know Cousins, like I just alluded to before, may or may not start the season healthy. We don't know, but I would think right now I don't want to move him in that late first for Jonathan Taylor personally. So it's hard to say. Jonathan Taylor has been a weird one.
Yeah, it's tough with him because he hasn't.
So hard to value.
It's been a minute since we've really seen it. At the end of the day,
like 2 years ago, this would have been the move to make to get Jonathan Taylor. And right now it probably still is the correct move to make, but I don't want to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't disagree with that. Noah did this for your nose, by the way. So
Flonase, baby.
Do something about it. Go to the doctor. Do something with that.
I got prescription Flonase now. It is stronger than the stuff you get in the store, so it's working better.
Fair enough. Well, I hope it works even goodlier. So we got Joe Mixon, Mark Andrews, Jahan Dotson, Keaton Mitchell, for T. Higgins, James Cook, Okonkwo.
He's receiving the Mixon side, by the way.
Right. Yeah. What do you think about this one, Mike?
I mean, you're getting Joe Mixon. I've said on the podcast before, I'm all in on. Mark Andrews, top 5 tight end, one healthy. Jahan Dotson, we like. Keaton Mitchell, you could take out of this trade for me. I would try to move him for something fab, $3 in fab. But then again, you're losing a guy who could be a top 15 wide receiver, top 20. James Cook could be a running back 1. And Okonkwo is the throwaway on that side for me personally. That being said, I'm going to lean the Joe Mixon side very, very slightly. Very slightly.
Yeah, I'd probably call it fair because you're getting an elite tight end option. You don't get an elite option on the other side.
I like the Andrews side.
Which is why you get, in my opinion, Joe Mixon kind of probably a decent enough piece in this deal compared to James Cook, but you probably get less leash on it in terms of how long he'll be helpful. So there's that thought to be had there with, how that plays a role. Touching back on Noah Bearden's trade, I'm pretty sure Zach doesn't need a third quarterback. And that's the issue in that deal. Zach has Jonathan Taylor. He won't give him Jonathan Taylor and ask for another 2 and 3 on top.
In all fairness, Zach is terrible to trade with.
He's tough. I've made some deals, but it's tough.
It's very tough. He said Nate's hard to deal with. I don't think Nate's that hard to deal with. Personally, I find it harder to trade with Zach, personally. Because then you're dealing with Zach, the person. as well as Zach the Trader.
That's
And
rough.
Zach's a tough guy.
That's rough. All right. Getting back into some trades here that I've pulled from the ether. 12-team, 1 quarterback, start 9 PPR, no tight end premium, Rashee Rice for a random 25 second and third. Mike, what side do you want here?
I'll take Rashee Rice. I don't hate this. You know what I mean? I know you hate when I say it, but I got 2 years to get those picks back, Bob. But I know in a lot of cases, in this circumstance, maybe that 24 draft has already passed. But I don't hate it at all. I think it's fair value for Rashee Rice. And I know Zach's not the biggest fan of him. I like Rashee Rice. I think he's in a good spot. He's got a good connection with a top 10 quarterback. Give me Rashee Rice.
Top 5 quarterback, even, in the NFL landscape, at least, for sure. But
he was quarterback.
Well, that doesn't matter.
8 last year, Bob, behind Jared Goff. Also behind Brock Purdy.
One year finish doesn't mean a whole lot to me. But either way, I'll take the Rashee Rice side here. I've been very adamant. If you have Rashee Rice, hold him. I don't think you're getting any great values for him selling at this point. I feel like there's been a lot of overblow. If you let's say it like this, because Zach doesn't believe in Rashee Rice, the player. If you don't believe in Rashee Rice, the player, sell out for whatever you can get. Sell out for something you can live with. Don't sell super low. I think this is okay for what his value is at right now. It's definitely taking some hits. But if you believe in Rashee Rice, don't just sell out because you're scared of something that hasn't even happened yet, something that hasn't, transpired into be anything more than a few game suspension, which we're looking at. A suspension is what it is. How long does it end up being? It's not the end of the world, in my opinion. But if you got him, I'm holding him. If you believe in the player and think he's good enough as is and can even get better, was a close to finishing as a top, I think he was a top 30 wideout last year. On the season as a rookie, set the receptions record for the playoffs for a rookie. Nothing to scoff at. Rashee Rice was pretty darn good last year. Yes, they bring in some weapons. I like Xavier Worthy a good bit. Marquise Brown has been a walking question mark everywhere he's been, but yeah, either way, I'll take that one. No doubt. So
she raised wide receiver 27. So you were right on about that.
Right
13.3 fantasy points per game.
Yeah, that's nothing to scoff at by any stretch of the imagination.
It's going to keep going up, everybody.
That's the hope, at least, especially when he's playing games. But looking at this next one here, we got a 14-team Superflex start 8.5 PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. Derrick Henry for a 25 second and an additional 25 seconds. So that would be, for those of you keeping score at home, 2 25 seconds for Derrick Henry. In my opinion, that's almost like double his value. So I don't know if I could do that without getting any pick back. I also don't like buying in on a player that is set to decline, like is a guaranteed about to decline.
Yeah.
Like Derrick Henry is. So that would be a little concerning for me moving in on that cost. I'd want something back. Give me a third back in 2025. I could probably stomach that. You have to assume one of these that you're sending is probably yours. If you're buying Derrick Henry, at least I hope you're competitive. So one of them you could expect to be late. If you're getting a third round pick back, at least it's not that detrimental. There's still a pick upgrade in there for them, an extra pick upgrade. They get a free pick for Derrick Henry as well. That's where I'd be at personally. I think Derrick Henry's going to be fine. I'm not saying the wheels are going to fall off, but I just don't love this value. Mike, your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. And I know a lot of people do not like keep trade cut, but I'm going to give you a tip on how I can kind of value players. When you go in to keep trade cut and you look at the dynasty rankings, you could put picks in. So up at top of the screen, you could just pick like running backs and picks. So see where Derrick Henry falls and where people are valuing these picks. And why I like keep trade cut, people are like, oh, it's crowdsourced. How do you think DLF gets their ADP? How do you think the Dynasty Rewind gets their ADP? We crowdsource. And this is important because these are the people you are playing against. So see where he lines up. Bob, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I feel like Derrick Henry for 2 seconds is a trade that you make in week 12 of the season, but not right now. When you're he's having a good season, he's coming along. You got that playoff push coming. Give me Derrick Henry. I'll give you 2 seconds. But if I'm paying those 2 seconds, I agree with you. I want a little something back if they're bulking at picks, because for whatever reason, picks are like prime currency in Dynasty Fantasy Football, and I get it. Look at the bottom of the roster. Are there any upside players that you can scoop up? any guys that you think could break out that they don't have room for on their roster. They don't have room for on their taxi. So it doesn't always have to be about picks. It can be about players too. So treat in certain circumstances, treat those upside players like their draft picks. Think of it that way.
Yeah. Especially, later round picks. And that's what we're talking about value wise anyway. Sometimes it's easier to grab that player, like you said, versus a draft pick. And maybe they don't have draft picks kicking around too that they can kick back. So
that's true.
Another way to move it along and get some value out of it. And we got another trade coming up here. 12-team Superflex start 10. This is a picks trade here. 12-team Superflex start 10, 0.5 PPR, no tight end premium. The 101 plus the 212 was moved for the 102, the 111, and Mike, $10 fab. What side of this deal do you prefer? I know what side I prefer at the end of the day.
So you're trading Caleb Williams for Marvin Harrison Jr. If it's super flex league.
Yes.
If you don't need a quarterback and you're okay, then give me the 102 and the 111 side. I think that is the winner just because that 101 to 211, it's a little rough. You know what I mean? So I'm leaning that side. I'll take the 102 and 111.
So there is some additional context. This trade was made by the team that had the 102, has no quarterback help. They have Dak Prescott, and then they have backups, basically. So they moved the 102, the 111, plus that $10 in fab for the 101 to get up and guarantee Caleb Williams, plus the 211. And honestly, I don't like that deal. I would much rather have stayed put at 102, keep my 111, and $10 fab, whatever. And I would have rather just draft Bo Nix at the 111 because he's sliding into the second rounds of drafts. Knowing your league as well, I would rather do that because the variance in player you get from 111 to 211, it's a world of difference. But the difference in 101 to 102, while you fill a positional need, just, doesn't do that much for me value-wise. At the end of the day, what those two players are worth, it's not worth making that deal. If you were at 103 and needed to move into one of those picks for that value, I'd be much more on board with it. But you're moving back a full round of players, totally different world of players that you're dealing with. And a start 10, that matters. If it were a start 8, it'd matter a heck of a lot less anyway, but it still matters being a start 10. So I'd much rather have, kept the 102, 111 side, draft Bo Nix at the end of the first round. I know maybe the manager wasn't a fan of Bo Nix, so that really wasn't there, but that's just an option. Or
of course,
the consideration as well of, trading that 111 for the 50th time this podcast or this recording, send it for Jared Goff and maybe get a plus on top. Maybe you just get Jared Goff with it either which way. But yeah, I just think there was other ways to go about this than making that trade up. And as far as my understanding goes, this was moved 102 plus 111 plus 10 before any pick was made. So that player might have not even drafted Caleb Williams.
That's
at the 101.
a good point.
And maybe you can look at the roster and be like, this guy is going to draft him there. He has no quarterback help, whatever the case is, or maybe he wants to do this to play keep away from you. Either way, I don't love the overall model here. I was sitting in a similar situation at 102. I was pretty okay at quarterback. I didn't need another quarterback, but I said, hey, I'm good with whatever one. The person at 101 tried to trade swap with me because I needed a quarterback. They thought I wanted to go up for a quarterback, but I'm like, I'll stay and just get whatever falls. And I got what I wanted anyway. So that could have happened here too. Who knows? Just things to be thought about. I think this could have been gone about differently. I don't hate it, but at the end of the day, like I said, I just think it could have been gone about a little differently. So we're talking some more quarterbacks here. We got a 12-team Superflex start 9, 0.5 PPR with no tight end premium. JJ McCarthy for Will Levis plus a 25 first. Mike, what do you want to do here?
Nothing. I mean, look, JJ McCarthy has yet to play an NFL game.
Sure.
Right. There is a reality where they redshirt him. Sam Darnold's there. Could happen. I don't think it will, but it could. You never know. Will Levis, we know he's the starting quarterback in Tennessee. We don't know what that's going to look like, but we know he's the starter. This, to me, just feels like a little bit of an overpay, though, for JJ McCarthy right now. If it was Will Levis and a projected like mid to late second, I'd feel a little bit better about it. And I'm a JJ McCarthy fan. I'm a stan. But just a little bit of an overpay for me right now. And I don't think you could trade Levis straight up for JJ McCarthy either.
100%. So I have good news for you. This was made by a Discordian of ours. So we are also bonus information. Our two quarterbacks, we have Mahomes and Kyler Murray. So we're good at quarterback 1 and 2. JJ McCarthy was our third quarterback. Somebody wanted to make a swap. So we got to move JJ McCarthy for Will Levis plus that 25 first. I think realistically, it probably should have been a second, like you mentioned. I think that would have been a little bit more fair value, but this is a really nice add-on piece you get. You get Will Levis is kind of like an upside piece either way, just maybe not as much as JJ McCarthy is, but still a bit of an upside add here at that value and cost. So
this is really good too, because if you're getting that 25 first, the 25 running back class is going to be much more stout than this running back class that we got. I think we see some first round running backs next year. So you might have a chance to get one of the premier RBs in next year's class. So stay tuned to that, because we'll be talking about that at some point, doing some look aheads, stuff like that in the summer.
Yep. Nate and I dropped one just not too long ago. So check that out from some right now, but there'll be definitely some coming in the future as well. Comment here, I just wanted to bring up because I love talking trash about Jameson Williams. I hate how everyone gave up on JMO when the defense has to play the short area of the field versus the Lions. Jameson Williams going to have to keep them honest. And, you know, at the end of the day, he could just be, and this is where I'm at, good for NFL, not good for fantasy.
Yeah.
And absolutely going to have to stretch the field to keep everyone underneath available. He's going to get his targets. He's going to have his good games. But at the end of the day, Jameson Williams, especially when you can sell him for a second-round pick right now, see you later. We talked about it in the buy, sell, hold video that dropped earlier today.
The fact of the matter is, with what you had to pay to get Jameson Williams, and in these 2 years he came in, he was hurt, and he was suspended for the early part of last year. You're not getting any ROI, return on your investment for Jameson Williams. He's been a wasted draft pick. If memory serves me correctly, he was hovering right around the 108-ish, somewhere around there, Bob.
Yeah,
when
that's
he was
about right.
The year he came out. You know, I mean, so if you're moving him for a second-round pick, you can get wide receivers according to our ADP. You could get guys like, I'd rather probably have Keon Coleman than him right now. A.D. Mitchell at the 2-2. Yep. What are we doing in the Dynasty Rewind Discord, everybody? Got Troy Franklin in there, Ricky Pearsall. I wouldn't take him, but Xavier Legette right now is going at 211. I think right now I'd take Xavier Legette over Jameson Williams. I think he has a clearer path to getting targets. Are the targets going to be as good as the ones from Jared Goff? I don't know. I also think that Jameson Williams, kind of a one-trick pony, as Bob alluded to, better for NFL than fantasy.
Yeah, which is okay. It's okay to say. So moving on into another one here. We got a 12-team Superflex, start 10, PPR 0.5, 10 premium. Moving Najee Harris for one of your favorite tight ends, Mike, Jake Ferguson. Which one do you want? Which side do you want here? What are you thinking?
I was looking at this one before, and I don't know. Jake Ferguson, I think he was tight end 9 last year without checking.
Sounds right.
Talking right now. Yeah, this is the move to make if you want to get a top 10 tight end. Najee Harris, his value is down a little bit right now. So if you are good at running back, which are you ever really good at running back? I don't know, especially with today's NFL. Then this is the move that you make for a guy like Jake Ferguson. I don't hate it. I think I lean very slightly the Jake Ferguson side, hoping for a resurgence from Najee Harris this year under Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Jake Ferguson guy. He was plenty enough efficient last year, though. But I think Najee Harris being a little devalued right now, discounting Arthur Smith's offense, which has always been good for running backs, a good running system. I think he's going to be good for Najee. I think that offense is going to pound the rock again. Najee's set to be a free agent on his own volition, apparently. Did not get his fifth-year option picked up because he didn't want it picked up. He wanted to test the market wisely when it was a weaker free agency class, albeit a tougher rookie running back class. But it's a weak free agency class, so we'll see what happens with that. But I think I lean slightly towards Najee. I feel like I can find another tight end to give me enough of what Ferguson is to replace that versus what I think Najee is actually going to give you, which I think is RB2 numbers. I think I can find fringe tight end 1 number somewhere else. Maybe not even fringe, but I think I can probably buy Evan Ingram for less than I can buy Jake Ferguson, or at least similar valued. And I think Evan Ingram's going to do better target-wise, efficiency-wise, and all that than Jake Ferguson.
He might.
Real quick, I just want to check for some comments. Before we move along, hey, if you're watching along and enjoying, try becoming a patron today. Gain access to exclusive benefits and bonus contents, and enjoy a free 7-day trial. Year-long signups get a 10% off their membership. It's a great thing to be a part of. Get in that Discord. Everybody loves the Discord. Super organized, super active. If you want to do that, check out the links below in the comment, or not in the comments. It'll be in the comments too eventually, but in the pinned YouTube description box below is where it'll be. I promise. So with that going,
words are hard. I got you.
Mike, words are always hard. So Devin here sent a deal. I'm going to get this ticker off here. So Devin here sent a deal. Appreciate you so much, Devin, for your support of this brand. Sent the 101, 105, 106, 203, 208, and swapped a 25 projected late first for an early one, along with Daniel Jones, 26 second. I'm sorry. This is a lot.
This is a lot.
So then we got A.J. Brown coming back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Herbert, Joe Mixon, and we still have a slew of draft picks. This is a lot to give up, but honestly, 101 for Justin Herbert feels about right. 105 plus 106 for Amon-Ra, probably ish right. Maybe a little expensive, but A.J. Brown for the rest, pretty solid pricing in my opinion. And you get Joe Mixon on top, and you still got all this coming back.
Yeah,
there is a lot going on here, but at the end of the day, you move Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison, you move Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Rome Odunze, two of those three. 203, you're getting Keon Coleman, maybe 208. You're looking at probably somebody like Adonai Mitchell in that range. And then you get that 25 first that's projected late. Yeah, I'll make this deal. I like this. It's a lot going on. I don't like looking at deals that have a lot going on because I feel like I have a whiteboard here that's 8 foot wide.
You're connecting everything.
I got to play the Charlie Day role and, really break this thing apart. Maybe I'll do a Patreon video doing something just like that.
That'd be cool.
One of these days, who knows? But Noah chiming in here as well. Appreciate you, Devin. Guys, the Discord is amazing. People legit there to answer questions all day. Well worth your time and money. Appreciate the heck out of you, Noah, for shouting that out. Real talk, do you all see any scenarios London as a wide receiver one this year? If not, rattle me off a few names that you think are locked in without injury. I mean, I don't think it's not possible. I think it's within the realm of possibility without doing like step-by-step projections, which I'm planning on doing this year. I can't say I would, lock him in, but I think there's a world where it happens. Kirk Cousins has been one to support wide receiver ones, plenty. So I think this is within the realm of possibility. I think a high-end wide receiver 2 is more likely, but
sorry, I'm laughing at Noah's comment.
I know you are.
Well, let's look at wide receiver finishes last year. I'm just going to rattle this off real quick. 1 through 12. Okay, in a 12-team league here, we have 12 wide receiver ones. CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins. So in order to move people up, you need to figure out who's going to come out.
I think all those old dogs could fall out. I think Nico could fall out. Devontae Adams,
Diggs, Keenan Allen.
Yep.
I think DJ Moore falls out.
Yep. So I think there's opportunity here. You got to figure Justin Jefferson's going to get back in there.
Yep. Michael Pittman was knocking. He was wide receiver 13. Brandon Ayuk was wide receiver 14. Deebo Samuel was wide receiver 15. Devonta Smith has been a wide receiver 1 in the past.
Yeah.
So I think
it's possible.
It's possible, but I agree with Bob. A mid to high end wide receiver 2 feels more likely.
Yeah. Which I think is okay to say. I don't think there's anything too wrong with that. If London comes out with that kind of season, and is able to produce to that level going forward, I think you'll be happy with, maybe not super happy with the prices that were paid, but I think you'll be happier than what you've gotten so far out of Drake London for sure. And I think we could all just stop having to talk about him at that point, which would be awesome. So moving on to another one here, we got 5 more to rattle through lightning fire here to get Mike to sleepies. We got a 10-team super flex, start 9.5 PPR, no tight end premium. Zamir White for a 25 first. This is another D- one for me. Not as bad as the Zack Moss for a 25 first, but it's definitely still an overpay in my book. I get running backs are valuable, but and this is guaranteed a top 10 pick, whereas the other one could be a 112. This is a top 10 pick. You're getting a top 10 rookie next year for Zamir White. That is not fair value. This should be a second. Maybe you tack on a third. Zamir White does have admittedly some more quote unquote upside for long-term, production. Maybe he gets locked into a larger role, secures another contract, albeit not a crazy one because running backs don't get paid. And the year he's up, he's very crowded free agency class as well. So I hate this value. I think it should be a second, maybe a third on top. Maybe you send Zamir in a second or a Zamir in a third to get a second kind of a thing, or vice versa. You get what I'm saying. I struggle with this one though, Mike. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't like it. I think it's an overpay for Zamir White. I like Zamir White. I've been saying buy Zamir White, but this wasn't what I meant when I said buy Zamir White. It's just got to be a little cheaper. There should not be a number one in front of that draft pick for Zamir White. And hey, look, we've seen it before. There's a mid-round pick. He gets a chance, tweak something. Alexander Madison comes out, has a good game or two. All of a sudden, they're rolling with the hot hand, and then it's a split backfield. We've seen it before. We've seen stuff like this happen all the time with these mid-round picks. It's just an overpay for me, and I like the guy.
What if you sent if you're buying it on Zamir White, you're probably expecting your first to be late. What if you sent a 25 first for Zamir White and a 25 second? Are you more in on that value?
I feel much better about that because if Zamir White doesn't pan out, all right, so I lost out on a late, hopefully first, but I'm getting this second round back, and we don't know where that's going to land.
Right.
Okay. I'm getting something back. I feel much better about that.
I'd probably look to just move my first for something else at that point. Personally.
Yeah. I mean,
as fair value as it is.
You're looking at running backs that first, depending on where it is. Can you try to get Saquon Barkley for that first? If you have to add a little bit more,
yeah, I'd rather do that.
You're not going to get CMC for a single first, unfortunately, because
unless it's an early one.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he's not human at this point.
It's fair enough. In agreement on that one. Moving on to another one. This one is going to tug at your heartstrings a little bit. 12-team, Superflex, start 10, PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. Jayden Reed, one of your favorite wideouts in the NFL currently. 4, Trey Benson, one of your favorite, if not your favorite, rookie running back. What side are you picking here, Mike?
I'm on the Jayden Reed side. And I do like Trey Benson. I've been a Trey Benson believer since I first turned on the film. Definitely more so than Nate. I don't know if you and I are. I can't remember if we're both.
I've been in the middle. I'm in the middle.
But Jayden Reed, the guy who I think is going to be the wide receiver one on what looks to be a very, very good Packers offense. Give me that. The longevity's there. And hey, James Conner, if he stays healthy, he is damn good enough to keep Trey Benson off the field. It's that easy.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to keep Jayden Reed off the field regardless of who else is there.
Sure. I don't disagree with that one bit. I tend to leave the Jayden Reed side straight up as well. If you are making this deal, I think that Trey Benson side should have a little bit more added to it. Something to the tune of a third round pick, maybe nothing too crazy. Maybe you're getting a pick improvement in a rookie draft or something like that. But I don't think it's anything too much. I don't think it's anything, you're not going to get first on top of Benson for Jayden Reed or anything like that. But I think pretty fair, but I think that Benson side needs a little bit more added to it. With that said, moving right along here, cruising through these last few 12-team, 1 quarterback, start 9, 0.5 PPR, no tight end premium, Jordan Addison for Trey McBride. This one's easy for me, Mike, even without a tight end premium. I'm going Trey McBride here, no doubt. Another guy who's on a collision course for an absolute, even more of a breakout year than he had last year, set to be the second receiving option in that offense. Something we love to see out of tight ends. Volume and efficiency. And last year, Trey McBride was efficient over volume. Leader in the league in most efficiency categories. Jordan Addison is probably going to end up being like a fringe wide receiver 2-3. I think at the end of the day, as much as we like Addison, I think he can be a good flex play for you. I just think that's where he's going to end up finishing. I think he's probably, when everybody's healthy and everything's said and done, probably the third receiving option in this offense, and Aaron Jones is going to be more of a receiving factor than most backs have been for Minnesota recently, probably since Dalvin Cook left. So even more to consider with Jordan Addison. I think he has a good start to the season while Hawk is maybe on the mend coming back. We have yet to see how long that's going to be. Trey McBride here for me, easy. I think for me to even consider this deal, I mean, I'm probably asking for a first on top of Addison. Maybe I send back a second. I don't think I'm really in the realm to make this deal because I just don't think I'm that interested in Addison to begin with. Probably looking for a different wideout from another team, from that team trying to get Trey McBride. Mike, your thoughts?
I agree with everything you said. I really don't have much to add. It's the McBride side, and it's easy. And I like Jordan Addison, but give me Trey McBride.
What would you need added to the Jordan Addison side to make the deal?
Yeah, I'm probably going to ask for if it's a projected late first,
Sure.
or a late first if the 24 draft has not happened yet. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking at because we're talking perennial potential top 5 tight end. And yeah, like I said, I like Jordan Addison, but what's his ceiling?
Yeah.
Low end wide receiver 2 with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson there.
Yeah,
right.
I agree as well. Yeah. Tom Sobieski chime in. I always got to say hi when he chimes in because I learned how to say his name and I can't not say it now whenever I see it. So I wanted to say hi to that before we tune into this next deal. 2 more here, 12 teams, Superflex start 10, PPR 0.5, 10 and premium. Would you rather have Sam Laporta or Brock Bowers plus a 25 first? This is a pretty hefty price to pay if you want to go get Sam Laporta, but man,
this is what Sam Laporta costs.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, what are you thinking?
I think I want Sam Laporta. He's just, I was really high on Sam Laporta last year. I hate to say I told you so I won't, because if you listen, I was in on him. Hopefully you drafted him accordingly. And yeah, I've already said I told you so in the past, so I don't need to reiterate it. But look, we still don't know. They got Michael Mayer there. They got Devontae Adams. They have Michael Gallup in Las Vegas as well. And Jacoby Myers, as Nate will remind you, whether you want him to or not. So there is going to be some target competition there for Brock Bowers, and rookie tight ends typically don't blossom right away like Sam Laporta did. I would prefer if it was Brock Bowers in a second for Sam Laporta, to be honest with you, but Sam Laporta is the player that I want.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. And I think it is a matter of we need to have the discussion. Sometimes we prefer one side, but that doesn't mean that side is fair value. And I think we need to get to that point where, is it where we switch it to Brock Bowers being plus a 25 second? Are we getting a third back with Sam Laporta? Something along those lines. I know it's tough to ask for a pick back with Sam Laporta, but, with how highly regarded Brock Bowers is, I think it is a lot to pay for 25 first along with Brock Bowers to go get Sam Laporta. And I think it's worth asking at that price. I do want to bring up this one. 225 first for Drake London, sell at wide receiver 11 prices. What are we thinking on this one, Mike? I know without knowing where those firsts are, they could be 111 and 112 in a super flex.
Yeah, but if I could turn Drake London into Luther Burden and Travion Henderson,
those picks aren't going to be at the late first.
Okay. Well, then if I could take those 2 picks and turn Drake London into Luther Burden and maybe diversify that somehow, move up, move down a little bit. Yeah, I think I would do it, to be honest with you. Although it's hard because London's going to get you some points this year and those 225 first won't. So, yeah,
I think it's probably okay value, assuming that they aren't the last 2 picks in the first round. But, at the end of the day, I think I'm pretty happy with the deal as is. Logan Sparks, boys, I got a question. LOL, can I super chat? You absolutely can. We'll be here for a little bit yet.
Yeah, you can, Logan. I don't know how to do a super chat though, but you certainly can.
We can't train you on how to do one, unfortunately.
Sorry.
There's a thing under the screen on how to figure it out. Yeah. So with that said, we got Sam Laporta in the books, and our last one before we hear from Logan. 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR full tight end premium. Derek Carr plus the 24-111 for Brock Purdy plus a 25 second. I know where I'm at on this deal, Mike. It's pretty easy for me. Where are you at on this one?
Yeah, give me Brock Purdy in the 25 second. Brock Purdy is younger. Derek Carr is, he's a top 20 quarterback, but you're probably going to fall between 15 and 20 with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Kind of wish that he wasn't there so Chris Olave could potentially be elevated a little bit more.
I mean,
but he's still
it's-
over 1,000 yards both years in the NFL. So can't
yeah,
really complain
and
about that.
it's arguable if he would be in a better shape because who knows what the quarterback would be behind Derek Carr. If Derek Carr is nothing else, he is very mid and not bad mid, not good mid, but he is right at the middle of the row of being the middest quarterback ever to exist.
You know what? There's 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. He was quarterback 16 last year, Bob. So yes, the true definition of mid. But I want the younger quarterback. He's not going anywhere. And a 25 second on top of that. Yes, you're moving an aging quarterback in a late first, but I still want Purdy in the second.
Yeah. I think the caveat for me here would be which quarterback am I replacing? Am I trying to upgrade what is my quarterback 2 in Derek Carr, maybe my third quarterback, or what might be my third quarterback is somebody like Geno Smith or Baker Mayfield, somebody of that ilk. And I'm upgrading my quarterback 2, or am I upgrading my quarterback 3 like we were in that previous scenario, or maybe downgrading like where we had Mahomes and Kyler as our quarterback 1 and 2, and this is kind of our third quarterback. I don't hate the idea of diversifying into Derek Carr in a late first to then turn that late first into a wideout running back. Maybe Brock Bowers sliding, not in a tight end premium, he wouldn't be, but something along those lines. I don't hate that concept. In a nutshell, though, not knowing exactly how these quarterbacks pan out, yeah, I'll take Brock Purdy and the 25-second for shizzle. That's the last time I'll ever use that word. Wow. But Logan Sparks chiming in here. Appreciate the heck out of you, buddy. Sparky, I believe in the Discord. I apologize if that is not correct. In a Superflex PPR league, start 11, start 4 wide receivers. Have Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Deontay, and Worthy as my starting wide receivers. Is it worth sending Jalen Polk and a late 26 second for Cooper Kupp on this one? That's tough for me. If you are uber competitive, I don't hate it, but man, I have a tough time stomaching that one. I don't like buying in on these wideouts that are on the cusp of falling off.
Yeah, if I'm moving a very, very promising young wideout in Jalen Polk, and the 26 pick is kind of, I don't want to say it's whatever. How do we know it's a late second? That's the problem.
True, it's hard to project that far out.
A lot can happen between now and then. That's 2 drafts from now. I would, look around. If you're going to do that, and you want an aging player, get one that's a little more consistent, like Terry McLaurin, something like that. You could probably get him for a little bit cheaper. What about DK Metcalf? Guys like that. DK Metcalf, his value isn't there like it has been. But a guy who routinely gets around 1,000 yards a year. Logan does say that he is a competing team.
Yeah.
I just think for that price, there's probably better players that you can look at that are going to give you better production than Cooper Kupp will and are a little bit younger.
I think I'm more worried about the age, the cliff, because, we've seen this injury thing pop up last year. Don't love to see that. So, I think that's more my concern than, what the production is going to be. I still think it can produce, similar to the ilk of what Davante Adams was last year, which was a really strong wide receiver too. I think we could still see that at a Kupp. I don't like buying in on somebody that's that age. I think, or coming up on that age with a recent injury and, now another wideout that's kind of replacing them. So I have my concerns there, but I like the idea of maybe going and buying Terry McLaurin for a little cheaper. Somebody a little younger, a little cheaper, but either which way. We got a couple.
You know what? Just real quick, going back to that, just look for some value veterans, maybe guys that run the move. If you need to just fill out your starting lineup because you have a good starting lineup here, look at guys like how cheaply can you get guys like Christian Kirk, who's younger. Josh Reynolds is a good fill-in guy here and there. Dontavian Wicks is a guy that I'd be interested in trying to acquire. Is a lot younger. Sure. Michael Wilson would be a good, just for a cheap late round pick. Brandon Cooks, Courtland Sutton, guys like that. I would try not to move both Polk and that late pick personally.
Sure. All right, we got a couple more super chats chiming in here. Joe Maiden, appreciate the heck out of you.
What's up, Joe?
Devonta, I'm assuming this is Devonta Smith, Kyren Williams, the 303 for the 108, 25 first, and Tajay Spears. There's some more context. It is Superflex 0.5 PPR. Currently has Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, Drake London, Rashee Rice, Don Wicks, and Marvin Harris Jr. is who he's playing and drafting. After talking with the league mates, Odunze should be what's available at the 108. So Devonta Smith, Kyren Williams, 303 for Rome Odunze, 25 first, and Spears. What do you think about that deal, Mike?
I think if I'm competing here, I want the Kyren Williams side.
Yeah,
personally.
it's kind of where I lean too.
Devonta Smith, in all likelihood, will have a better season than Rome Odunze will in his rookie year. And we don't know what Tajay Spears is going to be with Tony Pollard there. So I don't know. But I want the Devonta Smith, Kyren Williams side, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where I lean as well. Because I think Devonta Smith, Rome Odunze, pretty close value-wise and expectation-wise, too. I mean, at the end of the day, how much better can Rome Odunze be than Devonta Smith with what we've had of Devonta Smith? I think maybe a little bit better. I don't think he's going to be top 4 wide receiver. So, I mean,
he does have a better chance at being the wide receiver 1, I think, long-term on his team.
Sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that plays a role for sure.
So,
and then, then you got Kyren for the 25 first. That's pretty fair, I'd say. So then 303 for Spears. I guess I could go either way. I'd probably prefer Devonta Smith and Kyren. Maybe if I can keep that 303 and then send that to go get the 108, if that's what we're looking to move on from. But we do have another super chat chiming in here, a couple actually, to get to. So 12-team PPR Superflex Dynasty, 5 flex spots in this one. So Xavier Legette, Javon Baker, Tajay Spears for T. Higgins and J.K. Dobbins. And should I trade Cooper Kupp for Travis Kelce? Thank you guys. Some context on this one as well, pairing with Eric's. I have Kincaid already, and I have A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Deontay Rice, Rashee Rice as my main wide receivers. So what are we thinking on this one? We got a couple trades here to talk about. Legette plus Baker plus Spears for T. Higgins and J.K. Dobbins. I think I'm in on that one because we know T. Higgins is already good. And J.K. Dobbins, if we get anything out of him, and I think you could probably flip him, turn around and flip him for a second round pick if you really wanted to. Maybe throw him in on this Cooper Kupp deal for Travis Kelce, go upgrade Kelce. But honestly, you mentioned that, already has Kincaid. As much as I like Kelce, and yeah, he's tight end 1 until he isn't, do I really want to buy in on that? At the end of the day, is that something I want to?
Well, you're also moving another declining asset for him. I have no problem doing the Kupp for a Kelce trade. If someone's going to take that, I would do it. Definitely. But yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. I'll take the T. Higgins side there because there's a lot of question marks on the other side. We know we're getting with T. Higgins.
Yeah, fair enough. And then I think I'd move Cooper Kupp and J.K. Dobbins for something else. Improve a wideout, improve a running back. I don't care which. I think you can take both avenues, whichever you feel is a little weaker overall on your roster. I think you could probably look to go get a wide receiver, looking at, since you have A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, and Rashee Rice as your main ones. I definitely want to replace a wideout, not a running back in this case. So that's what I would do personally. I think I don't feel the need to add Kelce. I know we could flex Kelce and Kincaid, but I'd rather try to find an asset that I could maybe have for a little longer and then also more consistently put in my lineup and help more.
If you're looking for another backup tight end, you could probably get Dalton Schultz a lot cheaper than
I don't want him either.
Stop hating on Dalton Schultz. I like Dalton Schultz.
He's the 4th receiving option now.
He's a very good 4th receiving option too.
He's the 4th. But either which way, I hope that helps, Eric. Appreciate the heck out of you supporting the brand, this team, and Mike and myself. Let's give you guys a tough one.
I don't want a tough one. It's late. Come on, Tom.
Tom Sobieski. Assuming Tony Pollard has another year like he did last year, kind of in the middle, What is his trade value next year in 2025 picks? 10-man super flex. If he has, I mean, if he has a good year or a down year is the question. If he has a good year like the year prior when he was, exceeding expectations, I think a first round pick is no problem. But if he has a year where he's kind of up and down, kind of sus, lacks the touchdown pop, was actually pretty good down the stretch when you look at efficiencies and things of that sort, but just never, like I said, never had the big touchdown pops like he had the year prior, or, and miss out on some receiving work as well, whatever the case is. I mean, if he struggles, if he's not the primary ball carrier there, I think you still get a second round pick, but I think you're teetering between a first and a second. I don't think his value is going to shoot up anytime soon. He's a 27-year-old running back, I believe. So, I mean, yeah, if you're getting a first round pick for him at that point, that's late. I think you're in pretty darn good shape, but I think you're probably looking at a second round pick now that I, give it time to sink into my brain. What do you think?
Yeah, we're looking at a mid-second. That's right now, but I think at best you're going to an early second because people are just really out on him. Like Bob said, he's 27. What are we going to do here? New team. It's a possibility he's not on that team next year. Yeah, I really, if I get an early second for Tony Pollard, and if I could move on from Tony Pollard right now, I definitely would. For sure.
Sure.
Get him off my roster. Would you take a mid-second for Tony Pollard right now?
If Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, or somehow Jonathan Brooks is on the board, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't do it for Blake Corum, but I'd probably do it for some other
you could get
wideouts in there
later, for sure.
Yeah, should hopefully get him later. Another one coming in here from Lambo Leap. Appreciate you chiming in again. When do you buy older vets like Christian McCaffrey / Tyreek Hill? I've been avoiding them, but if I'm feeling like I could win now, do I buy now or just wait until mid-season? That's a tricky one. What's that?
I'm buying now. If you wait until mid-season, that price is just going to go up and up and up and up and up.
Here's the counter thought to that, though. If they're on a team that, for whatever reason, falls apart, they could be more incentivized to move them at lesser cost. But the problem is if you wait too long, if your league has a trade deadline, you're going to fall in that arms race price gouging where people are trying to get the best assets and they're saying, hey, this person's on the block, best offer that comes in today, silent auction style where you just have to keep raising your price because other people are, and eventually you fall off and don't get the guy. There's pros and cons to buying now versus later, but the less time you wait is the more time that players could get injured. And, between now and when you need them, not saying it's going to happen, not saying it's likely, but it's always possible. So it's tough, man. I always say don't buy until you really need them, even though it's probably going to cost you a little bit more or it could cost you a little bit more. But the thing is, teams with these guys right now, they're planning on winning. They're planning on competing. You're going to have to pay a ton to get them either which way. But you do run that chance that, hey, maybe their season doesn't go as planned. And maybe they're willing to sell for that little bit later down the road is a thought. So anything else to add on that one, Mike?
The only thing I will say about trading now is you have more time to massage the deal than you do in season with, like Bob said, with the trade deadline. So sometimes it's tough. You're up against it. So that is one pro to buying now.
For sure. No disagreement there. But with that, all that said, we're going to get the heck on out of here. Mike, this was a blast. Zach, wish you could have made it through the whole thing. It is what it is. Internet is a pain sometimes. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting the brand, sending in those super chats. If you want to support us further, consider more super chats. As easy as liking the video, leaving a comment on videos you watch. Tell us what you liked, disliked. If you disagree, that is A-okay. We want to talk about it. We want to hear it. Let's have a discussion about it like good, honest adults and friendly Americans or Canadians. We have some Canadians out there. We have some Germans out there. We have people all over the world that watch, which is pretty darn cool. There are a ton of ways to support the brand, the channel, and us and this team. And everything you do to help us grow makes us that much better. We pretty much put everything back into the brand that we make, trying to upgrade cameras, trying to upgrade this, that, and the other thing, whatever tech we use. It all gets poured right back into helping you guys enjoy your leagues and win your leagues that much more. So Appreciate the heck out of you guys. If you want to support us anyway, it's all in the YouTube description. Anytime you watch a video and say, hey, these guys are doing awesome, anything you could possibly do to help us out is right down there in the YouTube description, from Patreon, from getting a roster review to checking out our trusted partners, whatever the case is, it's all in there. So yeah, appreciate the heck out of you guys. Anything you want to say, Mike, before we head on out?
And hey, if you don't want to buy anything and you just want to make a one-time donation, we also have PayPal and Venmo. So hit me up. I'll
There
get
you
you that information as well.
There you go. But with that said, we are going to get the heck on out of here. We will see you in the next one, maybe in a live stream sooner than you think.
Ooh.
But with that said, we're going to get the heck on out of here. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, I hope that y'all have a good one.